Hi friends, welcome to episode 83 of the restoration of this RT of mine. First weekend of July, the heat wave has moved on and it's really nice out there today. It was a little bit overcast, but absolutely perfect for doing this. I didn't get everything I wanted done last weekend. I think this is probably always the case. So I managed to sneak up here midweek. Very grateful to Zach, who's got an RT over in America. You may recall from an earlier edition, I had a problem with the stop flag unit. It was leaking air. So Zach put me onto someone who does the seals and ordered them up, and they came in last week. Unfortunately, since we've left the EU, it takes forever to get anything from outside the UK. But anyway, never mind. And all going well, we might see some people pop up this weekend. So I'm going to get on with this. I've got a couple of little jobs that I want to start with today. All going well, I want to put some paint on those window frames that I prepped up last week. So I want to get that started. And once that's done, then we can then start building the frames back up again with the glass and the rubber and all the rest of it. But anyway, so I'm going to put the kettle on and let's see how we get on this weekend. You never know how these weekends are going to turn out, but this turned out to be quite a momentous weekend, so stick around to the end. Right, we might as well kick off where we left off last weekend. As you can see, I've got some window pans propped up against the side of the bus. They need to be finished off. I've also still got that waist rail panel, which fills this gap here. That needed to go back in as well. Right, so let's kick off with this first. That was the first project on Saturday morning. Right, you might recall from a previous edition that I managed to get hold of two of these waist rail panels. The chap who made them had a number made for bay 1. So I was able to buy two bay 1s off of him. Unfortunately, bays 2, 3 and 4, whatever you want to call them, are all different. Every single one is a different one because the seat frames, where they go, they have a little bracket that holds the back of the seat frame in place. Right, so we had to make bay A, which is that silver one on the right hand side, the same as bay B, which is that dark coloured rusty thing on the left hand side. And this, dear friends, is how we achieved it. So on the right hand side, you can see that original one. I have cut it, and all we need to do is get one of my colleagues at work to weld it back up. So I'm very grateful to Martin. I know I've mentioned Martin before. He's got a Metro and a Titan. He's very keen on buses, and I'm really grateful that he's working for us because, yeah, he really loves these things. So there's a lot more on the way, Martin, I'm afraid to say. But anyway, now this is done, and thanks to Martin's work, I can now refit this into the bus. Right, so this is it going back in at long last. So that fills that gap. You may have noticed earlier on I used a bit of a railway themed comment, mind the gap. So yeah, that's back in. So now it's starting to look a little bit complete. I will point this out before anyone else points it out. A very minor detail. I use the old bolts on that panel to the left of shot, and I'm going to have to use the old bolts on this one as well. I've got a couple of new ones, but I actually ran out, so I had to order in some new ones last week. So they've arrived now on Monday, which is the day when I'm doing this dialogue, but I had to use the old ones just to get everything back into position. And what I'll do is I'll take them back out again next weekend and put all nice new shiny bolts in. So there we are. So that's how you get it in. Whack it about with a bit of a hammer, get it to straighten up a bit, and yeah, there you go. And then go off and put the kettle on. I had to buy this snazzy but clumsy looking drill attachment device. The problem is these holes are so close to that panel I just put in that if you put a sort of normal drill in there, you just will not get the hole straight. See what I mean? The hole's already in there, by the way. Yeah, that's a bit crooked, isn't it? But yeah, the hole's already in there, so all I need to do is just basically just get them ready to put the bolts back in. So once that's done, I can then put this seat bracket back in. Right, so you just saw me drilling those holes, and this is the reason why. There are little bolts that go through here. Say little bolts, but there's like a nut and bolt, and I bought these years ago. These are the proper threads as well, and they're very difficult to get hold of now for some reason, certainly in that length. So I was lucky I got a whole box full of them, plus all the nuts and everything else that goes with it. But this is an odd one really, because this bracket here is not directly attached to that waste rail panel or any of those waste rail panels. It just sits there. So, well, sits there, gets bolted in. But because I had two decent little bolts for holding that rail in place, I made sure that that got the priority to go in there. But the one that's just by my thumb is one of the old ones that came out, and that will be replaced later on. But where my hand is now, where that bracket is, those two are hidden just inside the two new ones. You can just about see one poking out the top there. And I will not have access to that easily once this bracket is in place. And this bracket as well is screwed in or bolted into that wood. See the wood on the left hand side? Well, there's a bolt that goes through, basically through both of those, both through that stress panel and then through that bracket. So that's, yeah, there you go. A nice little job for a Saturday morning. Right, so all that leaves me to do now is to put this bit of wood back in. So a few little bolts to fix it in place, and we're rocking and rolling. So we don't have that horrid gap we had in the middle. We've now filled that up quite neatly. So, yeah, job done. And on this, that now means that all of the woodwork from the top down to this point is now completed. I've still got little bits to do down sort of around the fuel tank area, and also that wheelarch around the back wheel. We'll come to that later on, but meanwhile, let's tick this one off. Right, remember these? The window pans. Last week I kind of ran out of time. I was prepping them up and just didn't get everything done really. I was hoping to get a coat of primer on these, and then they would have been ready this weekend for spraying in green. So I was running a little bit late. So what I did was to shortcut things, I popped up during the week and popped a coat of grey primer on them. So they actually look quite nice this weekend. But typically me, I found some more work to do. So once I put this primer on there, it does tend to show up a few little bits and pieces. There's a few little pits on this corner. So I wanted to get this a little bit flatter. In fairness, you probably don't see a great deal of this because there's a sort of a strip of metal that goes across the that side where I'm rubbing down. So yeah, you only see a little bit of it, but I still wanted to get it right. Right, as well as those window pans, I also needed to sort these two panels out. These are sort of, I say specially shaped panels, but you know what I mean. The one on the left-hand side is the one by the platform that runs in line with the windows. It's a specially shaped panel. I think I have seen RTs where they've actually replaced these completely with a flat panel. I don't think it looks very nice. So anyway, this is that one in the process of being prepared for primer. On the right of that is the one that sits around the fuel filler. So that was done as well. There was also a few dents on the edge where I imagine that where they're doing the fueling, when they've been doing the fueling, they've missed and they've bashed the framework on the outside. So I had to fill that later on. And the other two little bits that needed to be done were these little shades that go over the top of the window. They're designed to, I suppose, stop water when it's raining going inside the bus. So, and these, I know I spoke about these last time, these are, most of them are actually welded onto the window frames, and one of them actually was welded on, the ones that I bought recently, so that saved one. I've got another one other than this one, which was in pretty good condition. So I still need to get one more, so I need 4 in total. So I'm 1 short at the moment, and I can't remove that the one that I've got, one of the RT that came off 3461. Because it's been welded on, it's in a really good condition, but I can't get it off the frame, which is a bit of a shame. So anyway, right, so that one had to be done, and it also had to be rubbed down as well and prepped ready for the primer coat, which is what I'm doing here. You'll notice in the top corner of the picture, there's that fuel filler sprayed up, and there's also one of the frames as well that I sprayed up. So yeah, I just need to clear this one off, and then that one can be done as well. So it's not just the front of the pans that get painted, the back of the pans do too. So here they are in chassis black paint that I've got. The idea being is it just keeps the rust at bay. I do hope the rust doesn't come back, but just keeps it at bay. You can see there the two new frames, which are the ones on the left hand side. One is just a plain window and the other one is one with the openers. And then you've got the two refurbished ones to the right, one again being a plain window and then the last one being an opener. And that opener has still got the little eyebrow thing on it, which the second one hasn't. So yeah, so that ticks a nice little box, that one. There we are. So there's those frames. All I need to do is flip them round and paint the other side in green. Right, and abracadabra, there they are, sitting on the, they're the ladders actually, which is an absolutely ideal spot for them to dry away. What I do is I tend to put the first ones at the top and then work my way towards the bottom. So yeah, because if there's a little dust, it sort of falls on the panel. You go, oh no, I've got to paint that panel again. Anyway, so from the bottom, we have that panel that's by the platform you saw before, that dished one. Then just above that, we've got the fuel filler and one of those new window pans. And then we've got an opener window pan, that's one of the new ones as well. One of the refurbished opener window pans. It's a little bit crooked actually, I mean, it might be the way I put it on the thing. And then we've got a brand new window pan, and just above that, we've got just about in shot two of those little eyelet things that go across the top of the opener windows. So that's all your exciting stuff. Now we get to the dull stuff. This is one of the windows that come out of 3461. As you can see, it's an opener. And that's the bottom sheet of glass with a little handle on it. So I need to break this down. Not break the glass, that is. I need to break it down into its constituent parts. Those handles are really cream crackered. They've gone green and have got a bit furry. So my plan is to get them chromed. At the moment, I've got one quote, which is £60 per handle. And I've also got the little brackety thing that sits on the top to be done as well. Anyway, here I am, just cleaning off all the dust. These were inside 3461 for a long period of time, and all of that dust has collected on them. I did move them because they were sitting inside the lower saloon, and I did move them to round the back of the shed just to keep them, well, just keep them out of the way really, because they're the sort of things that get broke easy. So anyway, so what I need to do is, having given this a little bit of a clean, I now need to get that stainless steel top off. Now those stainless steel tops are almost look like the thing's brand new. They're really in very good condition. It's the only let down really slightly by those rather manky handles. So right, so this is a job for the little rubber mallet to try and knock the top off of this sheet of glass. I've got to be really careful because obviously there's a possibility that the glass can shatter. Just between the glass and that stainless steel is a little rubber insert. I'll call it the U insert or whatever, but yeah, it just sits inside and it holds the glass and keeps it weather tight, because obviously the stainless steel thing's not going to stop rain coming in. So yes, there's a little rubber seal in there. Our friends at Baines are going to supply me with, hopefully, the correct U-channel rubber, as well as the window rubber. The main window rubber, a sample arrived today. Today's Tuesday. So samples arrived today. I'm going to take it down to barn at the weekend and I'm going to try it out and see if it's the right sort of rubber. If it is, then I've got to place an order for 30 metres, which is enough to do the entire lower deck. Apart from the rear window, I might have to order that up separately. But yeah, so 30 metres will get me all of the lower deck done. So there we are. So there's me cleaning a sheet of glass. How exciting can things get? This is one of the jobs I really wanted to get done last weekend, but didn't. I ran out of time. So I managed to sneak up midweek in between shifts at work to deal with this. What this is the driver's flag unit. You see this little red flag that comes down and says stop. This warns the driver that they've lost air for the brakes. So when this rises, you know you've got sufficient air for the brakes. I think it's the last thing that the highest pressure, I suppose. So that should raise, I believe, from memory, at around sort of 70 psi. But it clearly didn't, and we had, as you might recall, loads of problems with the unloader valve, because the unloader valve just continued to unload underneath the bus. And then after fiddling about with the diverter and unloader valves on the air tank, we actually managed to get that to stop causing a problem. And then this went pop on us. There's a little rubber seal in there that obviously has become brittle over years, and it decided that it was now its turn to completely give up. You get the same with gearbox seals, by the way. I just want to point that out. So if anybody has has got an RT and it's been parked out for quite a while, it's quite common the gearbox seal gives up. So what I need to do is I now need to remove this from inside the cab and then sneak it into work, and I'm going to fix that at work. But anyway, but it then left me with a problem which was going to manifest itself last weekend. The reason being is there's an air pipe which feeds into there and it goes direct to the air tank. So obviously if you start the bus up, I was hoping that the compressor was going to be able to overcome any losses on there. But anyway, it was hissing away like mad when we managed to start the bus up later on at that weekend. So anyway, that is me removing the flag unit. There you go, out it comes, and that's now at work with me. So that's a little job to be done. I want to say a big thank you as well to Zach, who watches these, because he put me on to the supplier for the seal. So thanks very much, Zach, and a quick shout out for you, because he's got an RT as well. Right, so turning back to the frame of the bus, you might remember last week I took this part of the floor out in order that I could get to this rather rusted out grotty bar. And this end we managed to get to quite easily, but the other end, this bit, I need to take the rear wheels off, but I've got a bit of a quandary. Right, and it's this. 3461 has been parked in the same position for at least 35 years. I think we moved in at the tail end of 1989, and what we did was, in order to get all the other buses in, we squeezed this right the way back to some shelving that was just at the back of the shed there. So we pushed her back as far, or drove her back actually, as far as we could, and then parked it up, and that is where she stayed. However, as work is now progressing down the bus, I do need to get to the back of the bus to do those back panels and that area around the back lights and all that sort of stuff. So I needed to move the bus forward, and clearly I'd prefer to do it under its own power. But bearing in mind we haven't moved this for 35 years. Now there's various ways we could do it. We could, number one, we could release the brakes and then several of us push the bus forward. That's one way of doing it. Another way is to sling a rope round the RML, which is just in front of it and outshot, and then use the RML to drag the RT back, or preferably start her up and build up air and get her to move under her own power. That is really what I wanted to do. And if you've been watching these, you will know all the faff we had with the fuel pump and the injectors and then the air system, which I mentioned just a minute ago. And of course that's not entirely resolved, because as you noticed, I've now removed the flag unit. Problem with the flag unit, it's connected to the air tank, so I have no idea how much air pressure I've got, whether I've got enough or not. And of course I've got a massive air leak in the cab. But I really do need to move this forward. And then once I've moved it forward, I can take the rear wheels off the bus and we can make a start on that wheel arch. Because at the point when I take those rear wheels off, the bus then becomes pretty much automatically immobile, and I don't know how long it's going to take to get that piece of metalwork fabricated. Right, so the first thing I've got to do is get the jack underneath the bus and put it on the end of the spring. That's what I've done. Now this jack thing is really heavy, but it's a bloody good bit of kit. It's I think it's from London Transport. I think it's one of theirs, like one that they would have used at the garage. But as you can see, I'm having a few problems with it, but anyway, yeah. So having got it underneath the bus, I now need to twist this thing. It's like a ratchet, and ratchet goes one way to bring the bus up, and the other way. It's very easy when you're at this point because you think, oh, that's easy. But as the load starts to take up on the jack, eventually it starts to get really heavy. So what I do is I'll fast forward from this point. That's one way of having a workout, I suppose. Yeah, so as the bus goes up, I want to do a quick couple of checks, make sure it's still on the spring and it's not moved. Because if it does, the bus will come down with some rapidity. As you can see, the body is going up first. The tyre is starting to move off the ground now. The aim is to get that tyre off the ground and the inner wheel as well off the ground, and then once that's done, slow it down then, go for a coffee, I'll be able to check that the wheel moves. As you can see, it doesn't there because the handbrake's on. So anyway, yeah, but it did. The good news is it moved quite freely, and I know the other side moves as well. Right, this has to be our absolute main event, and I've been building up to this probably for about 2 years now. I mentioned earlier on, will it move? Will it not move? Well, this is how I found it. This is how it was parked back in 1989, 1990. And those shelves, and I've changed the shelves at some point because there were some quite ramshackled things at the back there. Those ones I put in about 2.5 years ago when I rediscovered the RT, to put it mildly, and this poor old thing was completely covered in rubbish all around it. So once I cleared it away, this was revealed like this with a flat tyre. So anyway, she's now she's going to have to move. And can she do it under her own power? We know the engine runs. We know we should be able to get a gear. We know that the back wheels are free and able to turn. So we know all these things, but will it move or will it won't? So anyway, I was joined by Mark. Very grateful, poor old Mark. He turned up to do some work on his bus. And as usual, Dean goes over and says, Mark, got a minute? And Mark knows full well that it really is half an hour. So anyway, here is Mark popping over to give me a hand. We want to work out where we're going to position the bus to. I do hope that option 3 that I mentioned earlier on was we managed to do it under our own power. I just moved the larder, apples, all the rest of it. So we just need space to get through here. I suppose the problem is the tyre is recessed back a bit, so I don't want to end up with it being we'll give it a try. I can always roll it back a bit.
You know that measurement you do that.
What do you reckon, Mark? That's the best we got.
You know, the thing is, go too far forwards. You always measure it flat out. You take far forward.
We'll roll it back again, yeah. Right, so for the first time in what? 35 years? I need something to line in the cab with. Where's my chair? Hey? I'm still not happy with them. I think they still look a bit. They're not designed, these, like a one-man bus is so much easier to get in. Right, Marky babe! I have my temporary chair. Right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on, put my handbrake on. Right, I think she's in gear. No, it's not in gear. Okay. We're losing quite a lot of air through that pipe. Tell you what I'll do. There's a flag unit that's not in. He's losing air through the flag unit.
Right.
So I've got my finger over it and see if I can get it up a bit. Ready? In all honesty, I didn't expect it to roll back like it did. That gave me a right fright, but I kept my cool. And so did Mark. You don't see him running away. Well, of course, he wouldn't be running away because it was going away from him. Anyway, yeah, very grateful to Mark for giving up his time to help me out with this. 35 years. It really did work well. I think the reason that she rolled back was that we probably lost gears with the loss of air pressure. Once we've resolved the air pressure issue, I think that'll go forward and backwards quite normally. But there was no issues there at all. And the fact, obviously, that it rolled backwards meant it was not hanging on, the brakes weren't hanging on or anything like that, because it did it by gravity. But, yeah, I mean, a momentous occasion. I'm really pleased. It's July 2025. I've been working on this now for just over 2 years, as you're probably aware. And, yeah, I mean, what a absolute result. I think that probably by this time next year we'll be able to drive it around outside. We've got about a mile of road outside of private road, so hopefully we'll be able to take it out on our little test track. There we are. So thanks very much for that. Now we've done that, I've now got to go on with the mundane stuff of taking the back wheel off and giving her a clean. Right, so with that, let's leave it here. So, yeah, looking forward to getting up the next week, and hopefully you've enjoyed this one. And as usual, YouTube will recommend yet another one of my escapades with RT3461. So thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you next time.